Today I just want to take a few minutes just to give our honest review of this Futurepump SF1 solar pump that's sitting here behind me. We have been using this now for 4 years, and there's some good and some not so good about it. So I know when I bought this there wasn't a lot of information out there about them, so hopefully people that are interested in getting them will be able to understand a bit better from this video. So first of all, some things that I really like about it: it is robust. There's no doubt about it. As you can see, it's in a steel frame. The whole mechanism for the electric motor on there is actually really robust. The parts seem to hold up fairly well. Let me turn this around and show you a bit better. Has a nice strong steel frame. This motor is actually pretty heavy duty. We haven't had to replace any of the rubber wheels on there or anything. It's held up fairly well. Back here, I'm standing in the way of the solar panel. Besides losing a few of the rubber bands that hold it together, everything else seems to be intact. As you can see, we're leaking a bit of water, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But very robust. That I like about it. Second thing is, it does what it says it does. It's pretty efficient. As you can see, we've got a single solar panel behind me that comes with the unit, and it is rated to pump 900 liters per minute at a 6-meter head. So currently we're running this at about 3-meter head over a run of about 75 meters, and we are pumping about 1,000 liters an hour. So that's good, and that's even with some inefficiency from not having replaced the seals recently. The third thing is that it is portable. I mean, that's kind of the purpose of it. It's small, pretty easy to deploy. Takes 2 people about 15 minutes to get it all set up. So that's really good. Yeah, so overall, you know, it's a really robust unit, and it comes, another bonus, it comes with a really excellent repair kit. Almost everything you'll need, including screwdrivers and wrenches, almost all the seals, rubber bands, everything that you need, along with instructions and a lot of little plumbing fittings, come with it. So that is excellent. When we bought ours, we bought it from a retailer, and I think it was supposed to come with some flexible hose, which ours did not. So I'm not sure where that went. It took us a long time to find the right diameter flexible hose to work with it, which is about 1.5 inches. Now, getting on to some of the things that aren't so great about it, or what at least our experience with it. Again, I'm sure it's different for everyone. And as I said, this is an old model, 4 years old. I know they have a newer model out, the SF2, and I think this model has been updated. But let me show you one of the things that's been a bit annoying for us. Actually, it has to do with the solar panel. And 2 things. First of all is that there's supposed to be little plastic knobs on here which allow you to tighten and loosen that. As you can see, there's a bit of one left over here, but they have broken off. They became very brittle in the sun, which is kind of silly for a solar panel, and within probably 3 weeks of us using this pump, they had fallen off and they weren't usable. So what that means is, without a wrench, you cannot tighten this mechanism in the back here, which, see, this pole is supposed to fit in the top of this unit here, and then you can set it in there and adjust it to the sun and then lock it in place using these. But without those plastic pieces or a wrench, it's just annoying. So we tend to just leave it on the ground and prop it towards the right direction. Seems to work just as well. The other thing that we found out early on is that when it was propped on top of here, it is very tall with a narrow base, and with any amount of wind it would actually tip over. So not great anyway in the long run. The second thing that we found extremely annoying about the solar panel is actually this connection here to the motor. So you can see it's all taped up now. I have resoldered this thing so many times. What it is there's a connector here that, as you can see, twists on, and there was also a piece here that twists the opposite direction. And what happens is, inevitably, someone would start twisting and grab the wrong piece, and it would twist the wires right off. So what I've had to do is, I've just tried to secure it with some tape for now, but it's about every month I end up having to resolder that thing. So that's my small complaint about the solar panel. Now, I imagine with the newer model, they've probably updated this, I would hope. I'm guessing we aren't the only ones that have had these issues. The only other significant issue that we've had is, let me show you here, is the plastic of this piece right here and the fitting threads here, because this is supposed to thread on. They did not last very long. So again, probably within about 2 months of us starting to work with this, of taking it off and on so that we could deploy it in different places, the threads became very worn down, and there's supposed to be a rubber gasket that's inside here, and it was no longer making contact. We couldn't get any on it to keep that rubber gasket in there. So what I had to do is actually toss the rubber gasket out and then feed it on a bit further where we've gotten into the threads, and just do it very carefully. Now, if we were gonna fix this somewhere permanently, I would just silicone in there and fix it. But since we're always moving it from here to there, just isn't worth it. So we deal with a bit of leak. We realize that we're losing a bit of pressure there. So performance-wise, it does what it says it does. It's great for getting water from one place to another. Now, what we have found is that with the pressure that we get from this, unless we're pretty much right level with our water source, we cannot push any kind of sprinkler. It just doesn't have enough force to keep it going. Even where we are now, we're only pushing up about 3 meters. We tried it, there's no way, even with a single sprinkler head, that we can get it to work decently. So if your water source is down, don't expect to be able to push a sprinkler. So we just push it to a tank, and then we have to hand water from the tank, which is all right, but it takes more manpower. So again, just need to know how this works and how you can use it for your particular setting. Besides that, we found that once we get above 4 or 5 meters going up, it really does not push much at all. So again, just knowing how to use it, so we don't use it at those levels very often. We try to use it for irrigating right around where we have our irrigation pond. So that's the review of how it's worked for us so far. Like I said, I am fairly happy with it. It's been helpful, there's no doubt about it. Now, the decision needs to be made if you're thinking about purchasing these. The cost of these is significant. So we ended up paying about $1,000 for this unit here, and that is a lot, especially if you're looking into the development world. Where we are based here in Mozambique, there are very few people that would be able to afford that $1,000 investment right off the bat. Very few people, especially when a gasoline or a diesel pump are significantly cheaper. You can get a gasoline pump for about $150, $200. So it's hard to invest that much more, even though, you know, if you do the math over time, this will probably pay it off. But unless you have some pretty high-paying crops, it's just not worth it. If you're looking at this for a development, you're really going to need to either highly subsidize it or to do some kind of microfinancing. But even that's going to be, honestly, it's going to be very difficult to pay it back unless you're doing super high quality, super high-paying crops. Especially when, I mean, we for less cost than what we paid for this, we got a submersible pump with 3 200-watt solar panels that pushes about 3 times this amount of water, and at a much higher head. So it's hard to justify this, especially if it's going to be in a fixed place. Now, if you're going to be moving it around, yeah, it's great. And again, this is an older model. Again, I'm saying that, being honest about that. I'm sure the new ones are a bit different, and I know the SF2 will give you a lot more. But that's our experience. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Hopefully someone may find this information useful as they're thinking about getting one of these pumps.